recording. All right. So ready?
Hmm.
All right. 1, 2, 3. All right, and welcome back to the reserve squad. Yeah, I guess there's a little pause. We've been away for a couple of weeks, and really it wasn't the best time to be away because a whole lot of stuff happened during that stretch. I'm speaking, of course, about the Champions League involving a certain club from Manchester. But also, there were a lot of storylines that changed in the top four race and in relegation in the EPL. And so, good to finally talk a little bit about that. And we don't have the fun intro music, and I don't really have Jeremy's pipes for the usual intro. But yeah, just good to be back and good to be joined by fellow squad member Rex. So, Rex, how you doing?
That's right. I'm doing well. And yeah, just to echo what you said, we missed a bunch of stuff over 2 weeks basically. We missed Watford's confirmed relegated. I think Norwich was already confirmed, like the last pod we did, I think. But I mean, the top four's heating up. And then we didn't get to talk about quite possibly the best Champions League game, definitely of the season, but maybe top five Champions League games of all time with City and Real Madrid, both legs really. And Liverpool and Villarreal was a good game too. So I'm glad we get to circle back and talk about those games instead of just looking forward to the final.
And your club has been not going to say necessarily the main character, but maybe a protagonist or antagonist, I guess, depending on how you look at it in one of these storylines. So we'll get to that as well. So yeah, I think you teed it up well. We'll start with maybe like you said the biggest story of at least the last week, but maybe the biggest story of the year, and that is Real Madrid does go ahead to go through and beat Man City to make the Champions League final, and both games you kind of talked about it were absolutely bonkers, and maybe for opposite reasons. So I think it's right for maybe us to focus on both, and starting with the first game, and so, I mean, Kevin De Bruyne scored within the first 2 minutes, and then
Yeah,
10 minutes in, Gabriel Jesus was able to get the second. And really, at that point, it looked like Man City was maybe gonna, run him out of the stadium. To be honest, Benzema was able to get them a goal back with an absolute ridiculous like first time like volley like finish. He had no reason to score that, and so it was 2-1 at halftime. Man City finally got their third goal with a Phil Foden header, courtesy of Fernandinho coming on and playing a part in that. But just quickly after that, Fernandinho was also at fault, maybe for Vinicius kind of schooling him a little bit. And what I thought was it was really big that Madrid got the goals when they did in this first game. I think this is really the big reason why they went through. Obviously, we can talk about the second game, but Benzema was able to at least get a goal, so it was at least only 2-1 at halftime. So they could go in. They were thoroughly outplayed. I thought it could have been 5 or 6, to be honest,
it really could have.
after the first 30 minutes. And so it's 2-1 at halftime. That's not terrible. And then after you go down 2 goals, you're able to get a goal back within a couple of minutes. And so I thought that was really big for morale. And then even even after the Bernardo Silva goal that made it 4-2, City were able to somehow, some way, only get out of that stadium just down a goal go to the Bernabeu. So I don't know, Rex. There's I guess that's kind of setting it up. Do you have any thoughts?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you kind of mentioned it in the script too, and it's just City needs to put goals away when they're on top. Any team really needs to score. Well, just being an Arsenal fan too, sometimes this year, it's like Arsenal are dominating, but they score one or they don't even score, and they're playing really well. They're having a lot of shots. You got to put them away, especially in big games. And I think after this game, I think Pep was kind of ruining some of those misses, knowing, well, we got to go back to the Bernabeu, and it could have been 5-3 or 6-3 even maybe if they put some of those away. So just I mean, hindsight's 2020, but when I saw some of those misses, I was like, man, if Real Madrid come back in the second leg, City's really going to be ruining those misses for sure. And then the other thing I looked at was you put this in the script too. Stones was starting, and he
Yeah.
was kind of playing right back. And then obviously he's going against Vinicius Jr., which is a total mismatch. And Vinicius played really well, scored a goal. Yeah, did he have an assist too? I feel like he had an assist as well, but he definitely scored a nice goal and just
Hmm.
he destroyed that left side. Obviously, Rodrigo didn't have the best game in this one, but the next leg he was fantastic too. But I don't know. I just think. I mean, we'll probably talk about it later too. But it's like the Yaya Toure African curse on Pep, where they got rid of Toure, and he's like, City will never win the Champions League as long as Pep's there because they got rid of me. But I mean, it just seems like they have that monkey on their back, and I mean, they just keep getting good players every summer. They keep strengthening. They got depth, but no matter what, they like still can't break through the Champions League. Maybe Holland will help next year. I don't know, but it's weird. And I think the first leg for sure, they're ruining not scoring more goals while they're on top, and they had those great chances and didn't put them away.
I mean, if I feel like this is kind of easy to say now, but like if you had said something like this game is only a one goal heading to the Bernabeu, I think everyone would be like that kind of makes sense maybe. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but just the kind of way it happened, I wasn't expecting a scoring fest. To be honest, I mean that was like you said, there could have been a lot more goals that were scored. I think we should say that Madrid without Casemiro, and they tried playing Tony Cruz in that midfield instead of like maybe Camavinga, who
Hmm.
we'll get into this. He was really good in that second game.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but it was just it just seemed maybe the injuries, or I guess like the City weren't able to play Cancelo because he was yellow carded out, and so a
Hmm.
lot of that kind of played into it. But I mean, what a what a first game this was, and then we'll get to the second game, and it was completely it was equally enthralling, but completely opposite reasons. It was one of those where it was kind of a stalemate for the majority of it. Madrid were able to make a couple chances here and there, but really, I think the only shot on goal they had was when they actually scored in that 90th minute. Now there were a couple chances. Benzema had a couple maybe to head at least at least make Ederson make a save in that first half, and he just hit it over the bar uncharacteristically. And Vinicius had maybe miss of the season to start that
Oh
second
yeah.
half, and so yeah, it was again one of those things where just Real Madrid was thoroughly outplayed in both, like, I want to say 85% of this game and the first game, really 85% of this entire knockout round, and I was not expecting. I didn't see any of this come. I didn't. They didn't even like I said, they didn't even force a save when they went down a goal, and it was after Mahrez got the goal for City, making it a two goal margin. And so
Mhm.
I don't know, Rex. What were you thinking watching this?
Honestly, kind of the same thing you were. And I listened to a podcast where it's hosted by a City fan, and he was kind of saying the same thing. He was like, once Riyad Mahrez scored in the 73rd minute, first goal of the game, the two goal lead, you think City's gonna like cruise because this is just what Pep wants, and they can kind of sit back and defend. And like you said, it was a bit of a stalemate. First goal wasn't until the 73rd minute, but Riyad Mahrez scores, and you think it's locked up, and they're going into basically the 90th minute, and Real Madrid just didn't give up. They kept cracking away. Maybe a little bit more of the same from City here, where they had 15 shots, 10 on target. If one more goes in, it's
Yeah,
probably 2-0, and maybe Real Madrid kind of gives up, or
I mean,
you know.
Grealish just kind of cut in. Grealish especially comes to mind. He had a couple chances. One, he actually
Yeah.
did get a good chance. Good. He did well to get the ball at least on goal. I think it got past Courtois, and it was maybe even cleared off the line. I think it was by Militao. It was only inches, maybe, from that even happening. But and then he had another chance, and at first look, I thought he had missed it. He had missed it wide, but it's actually a very very good save by Courtois as well. And that was really. You didn't look at it then, but I guess those were two maybe the biggest moments in the game because that happens. None of what City did happen. But
Oh yeah.
like you said, City were able to out of nowhere get two goals. In quick succession. I think in the last couple minutes of extra time, just to even get it to
Yeah.
added, just to get it to added time. And what's kind of funny is even after you give up those two goals, in Man City, and you've got 30 minutes to get a goal or to win that 30 minutes and get to a final. It's not fully over. And I don't know if about
Mhm.
what you thought, but I thought it was almost like they kind of, I don't say they gave up, but they were so defeated they weren't able to get pick themselves back up. Um,
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think, I mean, they're away from home too, and just all the momentum, all of a sudden, everything was going City's way, and then all of a sudden, the game just flips on its head. Momentum is going the complete opposite way, and I think Ancelotti made some good subs. I mean, it
Yeah,
really helps to have
definitely.
Camavinga and Rodrigo on your bench. Yeah, that helps too. But just knowing when to put them in, and they're top players. They kind of, I mean, they do sometimes start on the bench. I mean, it's Camavinga's first year in La Liga, so maybe he's just playing it smart. But great subs. Also, just you know, great time to put them in. I know they're really
Yeah.
good players. Like it's easy to put in those good players, but it's hard to put them in at the right time. And man, I think Ancelotti did a great job with those subs. And going back to Grealish, Ben, I mean, I think some of the missed chances might just be lack of playing time. Maybe
Mhm.
he's used to playing every game 90 minutes. But I don't know. I mean, you put on the script like, is Grealish a bust this year? I kind of think he is, but I do think he'll rebound next year. I think it's just maybe the first year transition, but I think he has kind of been a bust so far this year.
Mhm.
I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I did kind of throw that out there. I mean, you paid 100 million for him, and
Oh,
it, I actually, in the beginning, I actually did think this was going to work, and Jeremy was like immediately on me saying, I think this is terrible because like Jeremy was actually like really spot on because he told me, or he like texted me, he was like, the last thing City need is someone that's a real skilled technical player. What they need is either pace on the wing or they need a finisher. And when you look
Mhm.
back, I think that's exactly right. And one thing that really another thing that showed up is it's kind of weird Sterling didn't play or start
Yeah.
in either of these
Mhm.
games. You think about
Mhm.
how many chances Foden and Mahrez kind of messed up when they had breakaways. You think maybe
Yeah.
Sterling could have done better or done something. And like I mean, Madrid was so open that final 10 minutes of the game.
Mhm.
They just because they had to go forward. They had to at least
Yeah.
they were down
They
two
had to
goals.
push up and score.
I feel like that
Mhm.
was maybe a time to bring Sterling on. And like another thing that kind of popped up was so Pep took Kevin De Bruyne off. I don't know if it was maybe he felt it was comfortable and it was trying to give him rest, or maybe De Bruyne felt some tightness. But Man City
Mhm.
really looked a shadow. Even though they scored, immediately following that, Man City really looked lost in the final third when that happened. And we've seen the last couple of City games how good De Bruyne has been for them. So I think
Yeah.
that kind of popped up
Yep.
too.
Yeah, yeah, good call there.
And so I, we kind of talked a little bit about this, but I mean, what should we think of Man City not making at least? Well, they made the final last year, but I guess Pep not winning it again.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a bitter disappointment because that's really what City want to do is win the Champions League, at least get to finals consistently. Because they're a really good team. They're one of the best in the world, and I feel like this whole team is built to compete for Champions Leagues and win Champions Leagues, and they're not doing it. And it's a ton of money coming in. More money will come in. So I mean, we already have the news this week that they're going to get Holland.
Yep.
That might change everything because there's your striker right there.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know. It really does kind of feel like the Yaya curse. I don't understand, but I do think maybe just getting to the final and once they win one, maybe the floodgates will kind of open up and that
Yeah.
monkey will get off their back. I don't know. I just feel like it's one of those weird things where it's like Tech beating UVA for like 15 years straight. It's like UVA will be up and they'll still find a way to blow it. Like it's in their head, and I feel like the Champions League is in City's players' heads right now. Maybe in Pep's head, but I think they'll win mainly because they have the oil money and they'll just keep
Yeah.
spending until they do win. So and I mean financial fair play is out the window now too, so they can basically spend freely and we've already kind of seen that, and the summer window hasn't even opened yet. So I don't know. Holland could be the difference at striker for them because we've been talking about some games just they play a false nine, and some games it works, some games it doesn't work. Man, I mean, having Holland will change stuff. He's a little injury prone. I keep telling Katie that. Don't get
True.
too down because he is a little injury prone. She was like, "No one's ever going to win. It's just going to be City." But I don't know, man. I mean, it's just one of those weird mental blocks with City in the Champions League. It's going to be tough for them to break it, but once they do, I think they'll get more comfortable and maybe they might win a couple Champions Leagues, maybe.
I think that's a really good way to put it. I mean, you've talked about Holland too, but one thing that kind of showed up. is, and you mentioned him before, but once Camavinga came on,
Mhm.
City have Rodri, but I don't know if you noticed this too, but it just seemed City were just kind of small, and they've got
Oh
these like
yeah.
really gifted technical players everywhere, like Bernardo Silva, Foden, but
Mhm.
they lacked size and almost like they lacked a little athleticism in that midfield, and so
Mhm.
in a weird, I've never really like noticed, figured this would work, in the past, but after watching that, I feel like Declan Rice would work on a team like this. And I know he's been linked there,
Yes.
but I mean that's another like hundred something million. But
Mhm. And Fernandinho's getting older too, so you might.
right,
Yeah, I mean,
hmm
yeah, that would be a good shot, and I'm sure. I don't. I think. I don't know. I have a friend that's a West Ham fan, and he said that he thinks Declan Rice is going to stay another year. But I mean, I kind of feel like he wants Champions League and he wants to be on the top team because he's a top player. So I kind of think I wouldn't be surprised if he left this year. Because West Ham's kind of they might get into Europa again, right? But no chance at the Champions League.
yeah, I don't think yeah.
And I just wonder if he's thinking like, oh, I'm kind of wasting my prime years. I could be competing in the Champions League, which is what top players want to do. So I wouldn't be surprised if Declan Rice left, and that would be a good destination for him.
Yeah, because you think of the two places that would at least be able to afford some. We assume the fee would be absolutely monstrous. Um,
Yeah,
it would either be the two Manchester clubs, and well, I guess we'll get into it. Maybe we won't, but we're talking about the top four coming up, and we're not going to be mentioning the other Manchester club because of what
that's
they've done the
right.
last couple of weeks. So
Hmm.
maybe he'll have interest in starting a new project with Den Haag. But yeah, so that's a whole lot of City. But let's we should talk a little bit about Real Madrid. I don't necessarily know how much we're going over, but what should we really make of them making the final? It's when they got Ancelotti. I remember we did an episode, I guess in August or whatever, and we did maybe predictions for La Liga, and I didn't think this was going to work, just because
Yeah.
we'd seen him at Napoli, we had seen him at Everton. It seemed like maybe things had gone past him, but I mean,
Hmm.
what a year he's had, not just Champions League but also La Liga.
Yeah. Yeah, and he does well with big players, big egos, kind of making them coexist in the same team. So yeah, I agree. Like at first, we're kind of like, it's kind of blah, kind of bland. We know Ancelotti, we know what he does. But in hindsight, it's a great hire. And I asked this question on the script, Ben. I wonder where this team would be without Benzema. I think they'd still
Yes.
be doing well in La Liga, but his Champions League goals have been clutch this year. And I mean, what is he, third in Champions League goals behind Ronaldo and who else? This
Oh, it might
one?
be Lua.
Mbappe?
Is it Lua?
Lua, yeah, it's probably Lua. Yeah, so he's third in Champions League goals. Yeah, that's right, behind Lua. So, I mean, where would they be without him? I mean, it's crazy, and he's not a spring chicken either. He's old. I mean, he's like 34, 35,
I think he
right?
is 34. Yeah,
Wow,
and just
crazy.
I mean, it's one thing maybe for him to like get like like Benzema to, I guess he like had Benzema already. But one thing I've really noticed, at least since maybe January, is he's actually put a lot of faith in Rodrigo, and that's been
Mhm.
rewarded for him. Rodrigo really saved him. It wasn't just not
Oh
just
yeah.
versus City. Rodrigo had the big goal versus Chelsea because they were losing. I think they losing 3-0 at one point, and that 3-1 was able to at least get them to the extra time in that game as well.
Mhm.
And Rodrigo came on versus PSG and helped. He didn't necessarily score, but he had a better press on him, and he helped. Just PSG just completely fell apart in that game too. Actually,
Oh
the goalie helped out in that one as well. But
yeah.
that's I guess for that game, and they'll be playing Liverpool, or Real Madrid will be playing Liverpool for the final, and it's not a ton to talk about. You kind of did talk about how exciting it was for you. It was not exciting for me. Alex made some jokes about "Oh, how much coffee are you having now, and that's probably not the best thing to have when your heart is racing. But yeah,
True.
Liverpool had a 2-goal lead going into the second game and completely threw it away. Um, Even before the second goal, they had an attacker that was throwing goal, and in real time, I thought Allison had brought him down, and I was worried. Not only a PK, I thought he was about to be sent off.
Ooh.
That was a terrifying moment. But it was only 2-0 at halftime, and maybe Klopp told him that it's kind of the same thing, same situation that City found themselves in. The tie hadn't been lost at that point. You had plenty of time to win it, and that's really what we saw. We saw Diaz come on for Jota, and we saw basically a different different Liverpool in that second half. Now we
Hmm.
should say that Villarreal's goalie came apart in a number of these goals. You can maybe blame him for all
Oh
three.
yeah,
And
yeah.
another thing too was Jared Moreno was already like kind of like 50-50 going in. It was kind of a surprise he even played. He gutted it out, and
Hmm.
he was really good. He played a role in a couple of their best attacking moves, but he was only able to go maybe 60 minutes or so, and they really missed him after that. And so yeah, it wasn't clean, but Liverpool do go through, and yeah, Liverpool versus Madrid, I guess for a rematch of the 2018 final. So.
Yeah, it sounds like a tasty matchup too.
And all of a sudden, I don't know if you notice this, but Madrid, Madrid are just absolutely clicking right now. They won their game yesterday 6-0. With
Yeah,
with all
yeah.
the
They've been on fire in the league.
all the big ones scoring. Benzema, Modric looked great. Vinny, Rodrigo, uh, goals and assists. I think Vinny had a hat trick, and
Oh, yeah, he did.
they don't really have they don't really have anything serious to play for. Where Liverpool, injuries are starting to maybe pop up. Fabinho played versus Aston Villa over the or tried to play Aston Villa. He was only able to go
Right.
maybe 10 minutes, and you do kind of worry about if Liverpool do have the squad depth to kind of take all these chances on all fronts, because there's still maybe an outside chance at the title race, but maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, they're still gonna have to go all out in every game, basically. So they could be leggy in the final. Hopefully
right.
not. I mean,
Mhm.
hopefully they have enough to rotate and still win Premier League games. But they still were they only down? How much are they down? 3 points in Premier League.
It's 3 points, yeah.
3 points. So they still City slip up. They keep winning. So they do have to play hard, and they're I don't know. They could be leggy, but hopefully Klopp will hopefully rotate the squad
Mhm.
well enough that everyone will be fresh as you can before the end of the year for the Champions League final. Hopefully.
And what's funny is like, so this has happened like twice now, where like the commentators is basically like forced to. I'm gonna blame it on commentators. I'm gonna call it the commentator jinx,
Mhm.
where they're like, this was the first. They said it like at the start of the Aston Villa game, because Firmino was apparently available that day. He was just on the bench, and they were like, "This is the first time in like so and so Liverpool have a full squad." That's been said twice. Every time that's happened, that's when all of a sudden all the bad stuff happens. But yeah. Anyways, I mean, a couple things I'm worried about is Salah's form hasn't necessarily been great. I think he's played more minutes than anyone in Europe, and that's maybe
Yeah.
starting to show. Uh,
Mhm.
and yeah, I mean, we'll see about Fabinho. I mean, I guess Henderson being played in his place in that deeper, more defensive role than on the right side. He's actually been really good. But
Mhm.
he's been really good against kind of like more of the mid to lower teams in the EPL, not necessarily.
Right.
You know,
The
I, I
top.
I think he was played. I think he was played there actually versus Atletico Madrid in one of the earlier Champions League group stage games, and he was actually awful. They ran all over him. So that would be maybe something I'd be concerned about. But
Mhm.
just my thinking.
No, I'd agree with that too. Yeah.
So I guess I mean we don't really have to. It feels like the title race is maybe over. Uh, because even I was actually pretty bullish that someone would get the City. They're starting to have like a bunch of injury issues in the
Mhm.
back. You even saw that in their last game versus Wolves. I think Laporte did something with his knee. But all that said, even if City like lose to someone, I mean it's got to be a lose. They can't draw.
Right.
All they have to do is probably get one win for the next two games, because the goal difference is now like six.
Mhm.
Maybe it's 7 or 8 in their favor,
Yeah.
and that flipped within maybe three short game weeks. I feel like Liverpool had like a 9 point goal advantage. Maybe on our last show. So
Yeah. But you're right. It is. Yeah, the goal differential is 7. So,
7.
yeah, you're right. They can't really tie there because goal differential's pretty big for just what two games left.
Liverpool gotta smash South. Gotta give maybe Hasenhüttl another 9-0 9-0 whooping.
I mean, they could. I mean, they could win 7-0 in that one.
It's
for
at
sure because we know
it's at
Southampton ship goals sometimes.
it's at Southampton though. But yeah, we'll see. I do think with the defensive issues, especially at the back, no Kyle Walker, no John Stones. Um, a team that can break on them. You think of like Antonio and maybe Bowen. Trying to do
Oh
counters.
yeah,
It kind of does, regardless of how many they can prevent City from scoring them. But it does seem like West Ham would set up well versus them. But I know we'll see. That's I guess on the weekend.
yeah. And Liverpool this weekend have the Chelsea FA Cup, so
Yeah,
another big game for Liverpool, and I mean another. I don't know. I just another chance to rotate the squad, or is Klopp like, we need to win this? We'll worry about Premier League and Champions League later. I don't know.
right. And so I mean that's I feel like he'll play his best squad. Maybe try to do
Yeah,
some kind of rotating for Southampton, even
later.
though then
Oh yeah,
you need to get a
even
lot
though they
you need to get a lot of
need the
goals.
7-0 win.
But
Yeah.
like he played Curtis Jones. He rested Thiago a little bit versus Aston Villa, and that didn't necessarily work too great.
Hmm.
And so I don't know. We'll see. There's already no Fabinho, but so far that's really the only squad issue. So maybe Firmino back. Maybe he can get some kind of pull in that front three and give some of those guys some rest too. So I guess we'll see.
Ooh, here's a little fun tip for it tomorrow. This is the fourth meeting tomorrow between Liverpool and Chelsea. The three others have all ended level.
Oh, they've been
So
nice, yeah.
this and one was the League Cup trophy, and that was won by PKs after tying. So
Not just PKs.
I mean, if
do, you,
you're
do you remember how it was won?
oh yeah, the goalkeeper PK, right?
Goalkeeper missed it. Yeah, it went to
Yeah, that's
it went all the way to the keeper. They subbed him on just for the PK shootout.
that's right. So I don't know, if I was a betting man, I'd bet it's going to be a close game.
Yeah, that's. I mean, when Kovacic has played for Chelsea, well, I can't really recall the first game, but in that second game in January, he was a monster. I think he won like 10 out of his 11 duels, and he scored an
Hmm.
absurd volley. He scored like a FIFA goal versus Liverpool.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Oh, he had a
and
streak where he was playing brilliant for like a streak of games.
Pulisic for some reason likes to do well versus Liverpool. He scored in January, and when the last game that Liverpool, in the 19 and 20 season, I guess it was in the bubble. Like I think it happened in like July. The game that officially clinched the title for Liverpool. They played Chelsea, and
Oh
it was like
right.
a 5-3 game.
Oh yeah.
Liverpool were winning like easily. I think it was like 3-0. Pulisic came on and within like 5 minutes scored two goals. Just absolutely, he got the better of Van Dijk. And so, as an American, I guess we'll be looking for that. He just scored. Just scored in his last game versus
Mhm.
Leeds, so he's in, I
Yep.
guess decent form.
Yeah, he's been playing well.
Alright, and so I guess we'll finally get into it. We'll get into top four. It's not I, I guess for the past like 2 weeks it's been up some ups and downs. Yesterday was maybe a down day, but at the same time, Arsenal does still have that point, even on
Mhm.
games played. So really, they still control their destiny. And
They
so
do. Yeah.
I don't know, Rex. What are your, I guess, thoughts? I guess your general thoughts. I guess where you feel Arsenal is at, or if you want to talk about the Spurs game yesterday, uh, you know, you can do that as well.
Ugh. Well, I mean, yeah, like you said, we still have a point lead. It would have been really nice to clinch fourth place at Tottenham, but I'm looking at Arsenal's schedule, and I don't feel great about them playing Newcastle. Newcastle have been playing fantastic, and then to end the season, Everton. I don't feel great about that either because
Yeah,
Everton's going to be fighting for their lives to avoid relegation. So honestly, they could tie or drop both of these games, and I wouldn't be surprised. So I am worried about that. I'm worried about injuries keep piling up. Holding's going to be out. Holding was already in for Ben White, who's maybe coming back. I'm not sure.
yeah,
And then Gabriel left the game yesterday against Tottenham too, so I don't know about him. And there's already Tierney, Partey out. So yeah, I'm worried. Let me look at Tottenham's schedule real quick. I
it's
feel like Tottenham.
Burnley. Oh, it's Burnley and Norwich.
Well, it's Burnley and Norwich. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't feel good at all about it. I mean, Burnley, I guess, has something to play for still. Or
Hmm.
they're not technically safe, but Norwich is already done. I mean, it might just be like a curtain call for Norwich in the Premier League for this season. You know,
Definitely,
they might
yeah.
just be like, let's just go out and try to win our last game, maybe. But I don't know, man. I think I see 6 points out of those two, and I don't know if I see six out of Arsenal. I feel like they could win one and then lose one, or draw one. I don't like them playing Everton at the end, with Everton fighting tooth and nail to avoid relegation. I don't like that. And Arsenal, I mean, Arsenal's just young too, and
Mhm.
I think the situations kind of get the best of them, and the pressure might be ratcheting. I mean, it's definitely ratcheting up even more. And I don't know. We'll see how the young players perform. Sometimes the young players kind of don't understand the pressure yet because they're so young. So maybe that will be beneficial to them. But it really wasn't yesterday. I mean, Holding getting two yellows in 30 minutes don't help either.
Yeah, that really was weird. You mentioned uh, I didn't know if Ben White already had something. I was kind of surprised Holden even started over Ben White because Ben White was at least fit enough for
Mm.
the bench.
Yeah.
But I guess that was just kind of a maybe we'll give you a run out. But
Hmm.
even before the red card, Son and Holding got into a couple scuffles like twice. Where
Yeah.
it didn't even like lead to anything, but they were just. It seemed like Son was in his head for some reason. Um,
Probably. Yeah.
and yeah, it's one of those where like I don't think it's hard for Arsenal to accept getting that PK called against them so early in the game. Where it just I don't know about you. To me that's really never a PK.
Yeah.
Maybe a shove a little bit, but he makes a meal out of it. I think a lot of referees
Hmm.
do not call that at all.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. I think you're right.
like if that hadn't been called, do you think VAR overturns it? I guess would probably be the best way to put it. And I would say no.
Yeah, I would say no too. I think they would. I mean, it would definitely. I think they would look at it really hard. But yeah, I agree. I don't think they would. But um, the Paul Tierney again. We don't
Hmm.
like him. But
Yeah,
I do. The two yellows for Holding were legit. That was just stupid on Holding. But
yeah.
yeah, I agree. I don't think that's a PK, and it kind of changes the game. And I know I'm an Arsenal fan, but I hate to see red cards in big games. I want to see, like, the best players out there 11v11. I don't want to see like the ref change a game basically. But maybe that's just me being an Arsenal fan talking about it. But
Well, another thing too
um,
is like you go down, so you're playing 10 men. You've got
mhm.
a quick turnaround. I don't know when do you guys play on Sunday? Is that the turnaround?
Yeah, Monday,
Do you have a
Monday.
little
So we
break?
got next,
Okay,
yeah, another extra day.
but I mean it was just it really does punish you because you know when you go down like two goals like they did, or even the third. I mean, what's even the yeah, maybe it'll come down to goal differential. I don't really know. What's the point of even trying? Because, like you said, Gabriel ended up kind of hurting his hamstring in that second half because he's got to do additional running. He's got to, so
Mhm.
that it tires you out. It's almost like it takes that's more than just not getting a point. It's almost like you lost something there too.
Yeah, yeah, they lost potentially, like, there's two center backs for now, and Ben White might be rushed into it. I mean, there's only 2 games left, so if he gets hurt, it's kind of like, we're at the end of the season. But Ben White's going to be rushed back too, probably, which isn't a recipe for staying healthy, especially at Arsenal. But I don't know, Ben. I don't know if you felt. I've been seeing a lot on Twitter that people kind of were like, "Oh, this is a masterclass by Conte." It kind of shows Conte's experience over Arteta. Not that Arteta's bad, but it's kind of like a learning experience for a young manager. And Conte, has been doing pretty well. I mean, not him streaky, but in big games they do well at least. And
Hmm.
kind of Arteta with Arsenal in big games don't tend to do well. So I've been seeing fans complaining about that for Arsenal. But for me too, it's just like depth. They need more depth. They need more squad depth. Injuries are going to happen at Arsenal, and they kind of. I mean, they spent a lot this summer, but they kind of Tierney's going to get hurt a lot. Bring in someone better than Tavares, which I think. I mean, Tavares on paper
Yeah.
wasn't bad, but they just need more depth
So I mean,
and a striker.
well, so I guess that kind of I don't know if you're following the script, but I guess that gets to my my next question. I guess is like I think they've been linked all of a sudden to like Gabriel Jesus. of Man City.
Yeah.
And so
Hmm.
I don't know. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think I would like that. I mean, Nketiah I think needs to stay too, and have those two guys as your strikers. And I was totally
Yeah,
off Nketiah until recently, but I like Jesus. He's quick, he's speedy, and I think he kind of wants to leave too, just because Holland's coming in. He's going to
hmm,
play even less.
yeah.
And from what I've read on Twitter, is he's pretty happy with the Arteta Arsenal project. He likes where it's heading, but I think they need to clinch Champions League for it to really become official. I mean, we know that the best players want to play in the Champions League, so a lot of Arsenal summer will depend on if they get top four or not. Because I was seeing too, like Frankie De Jong was linked to United, and now he's coming out saying, I don't want to go there. I want to play in
Yeah, I
Champions
did
League.
see that.
So
Okay.
yeah, so it's big to get the top four and see what kind of players they're going to get because good players want to play in the Champions League.
I mean, I guess this gets to another question. How do you how do you assess? I guess how Arteta has done this season. Like, if try to think of where they were or how you viewed them to start the season to where they are now. Getting fifth,
Ooh.
getting fifth. Is that a failure from? It's hard to say because you can only think of it like how you are, how the season's progressed. But
Right. Yeah.
would
It
this
started terrible.
would this be? I'm kind of setting you up there, but would this be a failure or would this be like something to build on because you have improved over the last season significantly? I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. I think for Arteta, it'll be a failure if they don't get fourth, and for a lot of Arsenal fans too.
Oh, because it
But
would
I
be
do think,
Spurs.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, because it would be Spurs. But I do think you have to be rational about it and be like, oh yeah, they finished a lot better than last year. They'll be in Europa at least, which Europa for young squads, you get to test those young players against less quality teams. So it kind of does help develop the squad. It's European football at least. Man, I don't know. I think it would be, I don't know. I want to say bittersweet,
Yeah.
but yeah, when if Tom's fourth and we're fifth and we blow it in the last two games, I think the fans will be leading more towards failure at that point. But I don't know. I mean, like you said, they did better than last year. So no trophies though, and Arteta came in winning, the FA Cup in his first half a year. So that could be enough. Not that Arteta's going to get fired or anything,
Got to care
but
about
yeah, I think
semis.
it would be a failure. Yes, but I think it would be a failure if they got fifth, especially like you said, because Tottenham would be fourth. So, but it is something built on too. It's kind of like a double-edged sword.
Yeah, just kind of, I guess, show you where my head's at. That way, I'm not necessarily setting you up. Uh, to start the season, I was one of the more, I guess, pragmatic for Liverpool's chances.
Hmm.
I was worried about kind of the depth issue, which showed up in the beginning of the season because all these points that they've dropped in the league really were when Thiago wasn't able to play. I
Hmm.
did not know Van Dijk was going to be this good coming back from a knee injury. Uh, it just I've been complete. I didn't think someone like Diaz was going to come in January, and
Yeah.
so the season has completely changed to where at the start of January after Man City beat Arsenal, I think they had a 14-point lead. So if
Hmm.
Liverpool go on to lose City by 3 points, or maybe it's even tied. Maybe they just lose on goal differential. That will suck so much, but at the same time, I'll have to keep that in perspective. So
Yeah, because if y'all win the Champions League but lose Premier League, that's still great. And last time y'all won the Champions League, wasn't it the next year Klopp won the Premier League? So he kind of like
yep,
built on that into the Prem. So yeah, I mean, it could. I mean, I'm honestly just jealous that you get to watch your team in the Champions League final because Arsenal hasn't been there since like '05, I think,
I mean
losing to Barca.
it's been wild. Like I think I've maybe I texted this. I don't know if I said it on a pod. Basically, from like mid-January or maybe February on, every game has felt like a final. Like it's been crazy just to kind of turn in and watch every game. Just I can't remember that kind of
Yeah, it's
anticipation and
crazy.
that kind of like nervousness for every single game.
Yeah.
And it's
Hmm.
kind of felt like that. So like even if like I'll play devil's advocate, even if like the worst case scenario where like the only thing they win is the Carabao, because that's still a possibility as well. I still won't think of it
Hmm.
as a failure. I think I've enjoyed this season more than even when they won the league in 1920, just because mostly because like it was already like dead and dusted by like December, so it's like easy to say that, but just it has been
2020.
it has been a real rad. Huh?
Oh yeah, and the 2021 was like the season stopped for a couple months and
Right.
then
Yeah,
came
that
back
too.
with no fans. Yeah, so when they won, there were no fans in the stands. So yeah, I get that.
And it's like something we haven't said is like even before um, Liverpool ended up drawing Spurs. That's the reason why they're in this predicament. Klopp announced that
Mhm.
he's extended, and the reasons that he gave, one, his wife loves it in Anfield, but two, he said that the owners had kind of reassured him that they'll back him. So maybe more
Mhm.
investment coming in. The squad is, you know, you other than like Luis Diaz, a lot of them are over 30 now. So they're
Yeah.
it's not necessarily a rebuild yet, but they're linked to someone like Chouameni of
Mhm.
Monaco, and oh man, I would either him or
He'd be
Bellingham.
great.
I would, yeah,
Bellingham,
probably
yeah.
going to be expensive, but I think that's something more they need. They've got Fabio Cavallo coming in. It's like a clever,
Hmm.
almost like a number 10 type
Good
player,
young player.
and
Yeah.
you don't necessarily have to start him, but maybe you can kind of slowly bring it in. I think Harvey Elliott will be better next year after being able
Yeah.
to recover from injury, and
He
so
was playing well before that. Yeah.
yeah, and so as long as I still think they need someone because I Henderson and Fabinho are both kind of getting to that age where like if anything happens to either, there's a whole lot of there's not really anyone else that can play that role, and
Hmm.
they miss when Tiago isn't able to go, and he's not necessarily
Yeah.
always reliable either. And
Right.
so
Yeah. He's been struggling some with injuries. So
I guess I don't necessarily know how long we're going, but do you want to talk a little bit about relegation and then kind of wrap it up?
yeah, yeah. The relegation battle is getting really tight for that last spot. So yeah, let's talk about it.
I mean, I guess maybe the question would just be is like who do you see it being? Because like it has changed. I want to say like game week to game week since since we last did the
It
show.
really has because I think Everton was in the 18th spot, I think, and it looked like Burnley might be clear. And now Burnley, I mean, Burnley's tied with Leeds for that last spot, but Leeds has that game in hand, so that kind of lends me to think that I think Leeds might be going down. That game in hand might be crucial because Burnley and Everton both have 35 games
Right.
played. Leeds has 36, so both of them have an extra game. And just looking at the form, I mean, Everton 2 wins and a draw last three. Burnley 2 wins and a loss, and then Leeds all three losses. So I think this is like the fourth team I've picked to be relegated because I think I picked
Really?
Everton, Newcastle, Burnley, Leeds. I picked them all. I'm gonna go with Leeds now. I think that game in hand, and it stinks because like I think Marsh's
Marsh.
done a decent job. Yeah, and I mean it's gonna be two bad jobs in a row. I guess. I mean because he got fired and
Yeah.
then
And
Leipzig
Leipzig's
did
doing
pretty
well with
well after
Tedesco.
that. Yeah, and then he comes to Leeds and gets relegated. So that would be tough. I don't necessarily want Leeds to get relegated, but that game in hand for me tips the scales kind of. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, the last two games versus Arsenal and versus Chelsea, they've had early red cards, and so they're
Hmm.
already starting to kind of see injuries. They're going to be without. I don't know if both were automatics. Oh, both might have been automatics. They're going to be without Dan James and without Eiling, Luke Eiling,
Failing will become yeah.
for these
Oof.
last two games, really. And so who they play isn't necessarily great. I mean, I think Everton have
Ooh.
Crystal Palace and Arsenal. Um,
Yeah, that's tough
Burnley
too.
Burnley have Spurs. That's not necessarily great.
Hmm.
It's one of those where like I feel like Everton really messed up by not beating Watford yesterday. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah,
Obviously, they went in. They had to go in, with the mindset to do it. But to not, I feel like you beat Chelsea, you beat Leicester. You have to have some kind of decent run going in, and
yeah. Three points would have been crucial there.
right because you could have set it up a little gap, and so I kind of fear with you. I'm starting to think it's going to be Leeds as well, and I feel like if we done this, or had you asked, or had I answered 2 weeks ago, I would not have said Leeds. I would have thought Marsh had done
Yeah,
enough.
I agree. Because they were playing well there for a little bit.
So, a few I guess open topics. Do you want to talk? You mentioned wanted to say maybe something about the Champions League format change that Alex kind of brought up.
Yeah. Yeah, so is it going to be a like big table and everyone plays like a set amount of games and
I think
the
so.
you know
Yeah.
top half of the table will go to like or what we're used to in the Champions League where it's like the two legs. Is that what it's going to be like?
So I don't know about the two legs. I don't know what's gonna how the knockouts were gonna be. It's
Right.
possible. It's
Okay.
possible only the semis will be one and dones because the semis will be
Ooh.
played. The way I was reading it, and I think Jeremy kind of mentioned it too. They're thinking of maybe doing like the semis and final at the same stadium.
Oh,
So
okay.
kind of like we saw in 2020. During the COVID time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
but
I like that. Okay.
But the big issue is the format change. So instead of the group stage, you would have basically a league table, and instead of
Mhm.
playing, I guess it would be 6 games, you'd play 10. So you'd four additional games. Uh,
Ooh.
and Yeah, maybe it gets you more of the big clubs playing against each other. I think that's kind of been maybe the criticism. Is Liverpool playing. I'll just use like Spartak, Moscow.
Mhm.
That's maybe not the best one. Play. I don't say Rangers. Liverpool playing like a smaller team as opposed to like Real Madrid is not going to get nearly as much, I guess, excitement or like TV viewing. And I guess maybe they're trying to get
Mhm.
more of those big clubs together, even though the games might necessarily not mean as much. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It is different. It's not the Super League exactly, but I did read something about like they tried to insert some kind of like prestige where it's certain leagues that had the best performance would
That's right. Yeah.
reward more spots to teams that had historic performance, whatever that means.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. Whatever.
so that was kind of shady because like the whole thing against the Super League was to try to reward uh, reward merit, I guess I would say. Not,
Yeah.
not just getting it on who you are, but I guess we'll see. I mean, hard to disagree with anything that's happened in this Champions League. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember a more exciting stretch. So
Yeah, it's kind of a weird time to announce that you're going to change stuff when we're seeing some really good games. But I guess it's after the group stage is what they're thinking. So they're like, oh, all the games will be like this now since it's one giant table.
and we could.
But it also sounds like greed, like more home games for the owners, right? Two
I
more
think
home games.
I think that's the main thing. Yeah. Because like weirdly, COVID, obviously hurt, every level of football, in the
Mhm.
club, like from like League One sides, we saw a number like kind of either forced into bankruptcy or struggled to find owners in the championship in the bottom in the lower divisions, and it actually hurt a lot of these big clubs because a lot of these clubs are being run on super high debt at the moment, and they
Yeah,
were expecting a lot of in crowd revenue that they missed out on, and so yeah, I think it's a little of that. It's something to maybe even add. I guess before we cut out is this is supposed to come into effect. I think in 2024, and there's a lot of speculation that maybe after this World Cup in Qatar, the owners for PSG, the Qatari owners might get out of football, and you might actually maybe
ooh,
you might see some of that. City are obviously they're there for the party for the long haul, and I think
yeah,
think
yeah.
Newcastle
They're there to spend.
Newcastle has their petro dollars coming in.
Mhm.
There might not be that much change, but maybe we'll see some of that. So
Yeah, I feel like it says every summer before transfer window opens, but I'm always like, this is going to be a great summer transfer window, and it feels that way,
it's
but
already
because we already have
it's already
some
gotten hit.
news,
It's
yeah,
already
we already have some
gotten off
news
with a
and it hasn't
bang with
started.
Holland.
Yeah, so and Mbappe's future is questionable. I mean, Declan Rice. So yeah, I say it every year, but I think it's going to be a fun summer to to keep up tabs on everything that's going on.
I mean, just I guess real quick because we kind of mentioned it a little bit. Like United just haven't necessarily had the best. Well, they looked great versus Brentford and then turned around and looked like a relegated side versus Brighton. I mean,
Yeah.
Brighton were good on their own, but what should Ronaldo do? What should we not United do with Ronaldo? Do you think? Like, my opinion
I
on
don't.
this has completely changed. I don't know about you. Like, I I think he proved me wrong. Not just with the goals. He's he's had a really good work rate. He's been like the only.
Yeah,
Sometimes watching them, he's the only one running, and just
yeah,
he's
that's true.
36, 37.
Yeah, and he has what 17 league goals, so he's still banging in the goals
He's like
up
third,
top.
yeah,
And
third for the goals. Yeah.
yeah, third. And I don't know. I've been hearing like Rashford might leave, so that would kind of solidify, I guess, Ronaldo in that top spot. But yeah, like you said, with the age, it does kind of, what do you do there? Maybe bring in like a young Alanga, some young striker to kind of play a little bit behind him, and then in a couple years, if Ronaldo's not, performing that well because he's 40 or whatever, then the young guy comes in and he has some experience. But I don't know. Because he's temperamental, Ronaldo, and we talk about that all the time. And, he seems kind of an annoying player to play with. But he bangs in goals, and that's hard to do, man. It's hard to do consistently. And there's a lot of Premier League teams that would love to have a 17 league goal striker up top. So I kind of, and
And
I
that's
think
kind of
they're going to keep him.
and that's kind of thing too. Like, well, does he maybe try to force a leave just because? Does he only want to?
That could be.
Would he be game with only playing once a week? Because we don't think they're going to get. We don't think that they're. I don't. Even if they get into the whatever the
Being
conference league.
Europa Conference League. Yeah.
Even if they get into that, you don't imagine he's going to play much in that. So
I can't even imagine Ronaldo in the Europa League, playing instead of the Champions League. So I don't know. Yeah, it's more intrigue for the summer, and it seems like they might try to get rid of like 6-7 players and do kind of a mini overhaul or maybe a complete overhaul, more like it. So
well, them being
more
linked
interesting
to
stuff.
them being linked to Young, I saw that last night, like you said, and
Mhm.
all of a sudden that got my interest. I was like, whoa, that could be something. Just because like
Yeah,
Ten
so
Hag
that looked
and
like a done
Ten Hag
deal. Kind of.
and De Young were kind of they were on that exciting Ajax side when they got to the
Oh yeah.
semis. So.
Oh yeah.
All right, man. Well, I guess that's it. I don't necessarily know if we went over or not, but thanks for joining me, and it's good
Yeah,
to
that's
finally
fun.
good to talk a little bit about this because we've gone 2 weeks and just
Oh, real quick though, I got to get your opinion on this before we close the show. Manager of the season for Premier League, we got Thomas Frank, we got Pep Guardiola, we got Eddie Howe, we got Jurgen Klopp, and we got Patrick Vieira. Those 5. I mean, who would you go with? They all deserve it. I feel like. I don't know. I'm gonna think about it while you go first and take the pressure off me.
Oh, there we go. Well, because I'm not actually deciding who will get it, I can be a little takey. I'll say Vieira, just because
Ooh.
I think I had Palace maybe as being relegated to start the season, and he's come in with basically an entirely different squad. They lost like 10 players last year,
Mhm.
and he's come in playing an entirely different style than what Hodgson was doing. They're a lot of fun to watch
They are.
when they have the ball. I mean, they run like crazy. They become like a possession based team. Like they like passing the ball. What he's been able to do with Conor Gallagher and
Yeah.
Michael or Michelle Elise and
Mm-hmm. Well, at least it's been good.
Odegaard,
Eduard's been good when he plays. Yeah,
and
and Zaha, obviously.
so I would maybe go that. I mean, if I was actually handing the
Ooh.
award out, I got. I would probably say Klopp. Well, they've been in the running for a quadruple this entire time,
Yeah.
and the only reason they aren't is because they had one draw with Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to make up. It's entirely different than what happened in 17-18 when
Yeah.
Liverpool lost to Man City, but just a point because in January then Liverpool had like a 7-point game, 7-point advantage. People thought they were going to just win the walk away with the league, and City caught
Mhm.
them, and so it has been different because Liverpool were able to make up 14 points. Now they had a couple game in hand,
Yeah.
so it was never really 14 points, but officially
But
it
that's
was
still
14 points.
a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of points to make up. Yeah. Good
So
point. I don't. For me, I don't know. I mean, I don't because I know it's like Premier League Manager of the year, and I kind of don't want to put Pep on there because of the Champions League stuff, which has nothing to do with Premier League, obviously.
yeah, sure.
I don't know. I like Thomas Frank. I really do. Some big wins there, but they've also had some bad losses. Eddie Howe obviously has done fantastic, but I struggle with how much of that is the players that they bought. They all of a sudden have a lot better players and a
True.
lot more money.
Hmm.
But they were in the relegation spot, and still he took new players and got them out of that hole. So I don't know. I'll go with one of them. I'm leaning towards Thomas Frank just because I like Brentford,
I
and
like that.
they don't have a lot of money. They don't have necessarily a lot of squad depth. Tony didn't really start scoring the goals for a couple months, and he still like rode him. And now he's starting to get the goals. So I don't know. I think I'd go Thomas Frank, but that's a little bias here too.
Oh,
So maybe Eddie Howe.
I like that. That's a cheeky answer, and I think it's a really good answer. Because
I do like Vieira too, though. I like Vieira's done a great job too. So
like
I like that pick too.
one thing Jeremy's kind of talked to me a little bit is like he was worried at the start of the season because Brentford only played like one specific formation. He was only playing a
Hmm.
back three, and he's kind of going into every single game, kind of doing the same stuff. And once he brought
Hmm.
Ericsson in, they've switched to playing with three in midfield. They've done forward at the back in a couple times, 4-3-3. They've done
Oh
a
yeah.
4-2-3-1 in some of these, and you've seen kind of a little more adaptability, and I think that's been pretty big. And another thing too is like when Brentford and Watford and Norwich all came into the Premier League last season. One thing I looked at uh, was their Champions League or what's their championship stats. And what's wild is in the championship year, the season last year, uh, Watford and Norwich were so much better defensively,
Hmm.
and it's just wild how that's completely flipped on its head.
It really has. Yeah, maybe Ajer, they got him in the summer, and he certainly helped. But he was hurt in the beginning of the year too.
Hmm.
So
And
yeah,
they
I
and they were
mean,
without their keeper for a bit.
yeah, Raya was out for a couple months with a knee injury. Um, I mean, a couple of young players have played well, and then obviously bringing in Ericsson just changed the game, and holding him, for a couple more seasons might be it's the key for them this transfer summer at least, as well as bringing in more players because they definitely need more depth. And I'm always worried about the second year in the Premier League. It seems to be
Yeah,
like the danger
definitely.
year for those new clubs, so I'm concerned about that too.
Right, and so actually, I guess I'll throw a curveball just because Jeremy mentioned speaking of championship, speaking of the championship, the playoffs I guess have just gone on the way, or maybe they start today.
Ooh, they start today, I believe.
Did you hear what Alex said about Luton Town?
Yeah, their their squad roster is like 1.5 million pounds is what it costs. It's the cheapest team in the championship by far, and they're what are they, sixth I think in the championship.
Something like
So
that,
they
yeah.
just barely got in the playoffs, but they're in the playoffs, and I mean it's like a FIFA team. When like Alex took Wimbledon to the Premier League with like $1 million budget. So I'm gonna look up right now the championship. Let's see when these games start
Because I
because
think it's Huddersfield and them and Forest. Forest really impressed me in the FA FA run.
yeah,
They beat Arsenal and they took
they
Liverpool
got and they
pretty
have good play.
pretty hard.
There's some really good players too. Like Jed Spence has been good. Okay,
Spence,
yeah, Huddersfield plays Luton and Nottingham plays Sheffield.
Right, Sheffield.
So
Yep.
Sheffield's another name we're used to from the Premier League. So yeah, that'll be good. Let me see when they play. Do. It doesn't have the schedule.
I think
I
it's
think they
today.
play
I think it's today and maybe tomorrow.
today and tomorrow. Yeah.
But it's
What's that
like
on ESPNU,
I think
probably?
I think it's ESPN or like
ESPN
the
Plus.
Plus. Yeah. But I think it's
I
I think
if
it's two legs. So like the first
two
first
legs,
game,
yeah.
yeah.
And these games, if fans listening don't watch the championship, these games will get you into the championship for sure
Right.
because
Yep.
they're crazy games. I mean, you don't know. I mean, you don't know what Luton will do either. But yeah, they're crazy games. They can be like 4-0 one game and then 5-0 the other team wins the next game in the second leg. So definitely watch it. It might turn you into a little bit of a championship fan too. And good teams too with some Premier League pedigree. Nottingham and Sheffield. So
And when you
it's
think
fun to watch.
and when you think about it, it's maybe more of an even playing field. Like the championship isn't necessarily where you go to retire anymore. It's a way to like develop.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
still have the issue with I guess some clubs being able to have an advantage when it comes to the parachute payments.
Mhm.
But you don't
Yeah,
have
true.
like this Petro club like Newcastle had gotten relegated. Then I guess they would have been.
And they
But
play 46 games too, so it's just a boatload of games for young
true.
players to
Yeah.
get experience.
Well, I guess that's it. Wasn't too cringy. But
No, that's fun.
we don't really have we don't have the I guess it said we don't have the intro music. We don't have the exit music either. But Rex, you wanna give us away? Throw us out.
I will. Everyone, thank you for tuning into the reserve squad -2. We turned into the Arsenal defense today, but we did a better job, I feel like. So thank you for listening, everybody. This is the reserve squad. I guess we'll be back. We'll be back Monday. I don't know. We'll be back next week, or maybe the week after that. I don't know. Ben and I, if we miss a show with the whole group, Ben, maybe we can do another show, just the two of us, to bridge that gap again. Because I like talking more too. Less people means we both get to talk more.
We did. I
And,
kind of noticed that too. I was like, oh, this is
yeah.
kind of nice. No Jeremy cutting me in, cutting me out.
Yeah, it's been fun. And Ben, thank you for all the effort you put into the script. Was great. You're learning the technical computer side to do this stuff too, which
Oh
I
my
could
God.
never do. I don't even want to try, honestly, because I know I can't do it and I just get frustrated. So thank you to you, props to you. And I think it was a good show and you're a good host, man. I had fun.
Excellent. All right, man. Well, I guess that's it. Do you wanna say the thing, or do you want both?
Yeah, let's do both. All right,
All right.
ready?
1, 2.
3, 2, 1. You
stay
squatty.
squatty.
Giggity goo.
That was bad. All right, man.
Dude, that was awesome.
Stop recording.